Welcome, friends, to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon. Guys and girls, I am a retired New York City police detective with over 20 years of law enforcement experience. And if you like all things true crime related from a police detective's perspective, hit that subscribe button. It's free. Hit the notification bell. That it's also free, and give it a thumbs up. Like and subscribe, and sharing these videos helps to get the word out about the missing and about all of the cases that we cover. But today we're going to get into Adventures with Purpose. They released publicly today. It is no longer just a members only exclusive. Their recovery of the Kiely Rodni's vehicle. And it's a significant win for missing people across the country. It's a significant win for the Rodni family. Folks would argue that it's not a win, but it is. They went out there with a mission to bring the missing home, to bring a loved one home to a family member, and they did it so eloquently. They do it day in and day out on the cases. They work with their hearts, they work with their souls, they work with their experience and their knowledge. But before we get into our analysis of the video and everything that's surrounding it, I want to say a special thank you to you, the subscribers, the channel members, and all of the folks who positively engage with me and Ed Wallace and all of my great guests. Jennifer Coffindaffer is a retired FBI special agent. She's got extensive and vast knowledge of the criminal justice system and how crimes get solved. And she's here today to join us to talk about the Adventures with Purpose video and the actions of the heroic team at AWP. So I tip my cap to them. I am wearing my Midwest EquiSearch hat because I am the law enforcement liaison. They do God's work as well. So I want to say thank you to Dave and Twyla and their team. And to get to talk about the elephant in the room, I had surgery yesterday. Ambulatory in and out. I'm a little down and out with this arm, my right wrist. So I'm not able to answer a lot of the folks in the chat. So I wasn't as welcoming as I usually am in the chat. So please understand that. Yesterday I was coming off of anesthesia. Otherwise I'd be live talking about this. And Jen has been so kind enough to, on a last minute notice, come in and join us. So let me just play a little piece. This is Newsnation just shortly after the boys at Adventures with Purpose did their job. They did God's work. They recovered her vehicle. Banfield had them on, one of the first that they did an interview with. I want you guys to listen to this, and then I'll have Jen come on. We'll listen to segments of AWP's public video, and we'll go from here. Jen's waiting, so I'm going to play this.
Make no mistake, it is far from being closed. Make no mistake, it is far from being closed. There are still so many unanswered questions, like why was this girl and this car found upside down in 14 feet of water, just 100 yards or so from a raging party? How is it possible that no one found her before now? And maybe most troubling, why did almost every one of the hundreds and hundreds of partygoers go silent, unwilling to help find her? I'm joined now by Doug Bishop and Nick Wren, two of the divers who found that vehicle and that body. They are from Adventures with Purpose, a search and recovery dive team dedicated to helping families of missing people. Nick and Doug, thanks so much for being here. I can't imagine the discovery that you made this weekend, but can you describe for me what it was like when you actually did come upon that vehicle in your view underwater?
Sure. So after we put our boats in the water, we had two separate boats to cover more waterway quickly. Doug went one direction, I went the other. We were just doing our normal search patterns, following the entire lake shoreline, since this particular lake has a lot of areas that a vehicle can drive right to the water's edge. So after about approximately 35 minutes on the water, I spotted something on my sonar that obviously looked out of place. It was causing a big shadow. And so I turned around and rescanned it from several different angles, and it looked very peculiar to me. So at that point, I called Doug, told him, hey, you better get over here and let's put another set of eyes on this, see what we see, and see if you can figure out what it is. So Doug came over, and he as well scanned it multiple directions for maybe 15 or 20 minutes. After that, we both agreed that it did look like a vehicle on sonar. So we pulled a magnet out and a buoy, dropped it in, and sure enough, it stuck to it just like a vehicle does, that it was made with metal. And at that moment, we basically both realized that, yeah, this is for sure a vehicle. So there was a lot of anticipation.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find Newsnation.
All right, Newsnation, great group of people, Brian, Enton, and the whole crew. A lot of the footage that she played there was from their unreleased members-only live stream. That was August 22nd, I believe. Joining me now is my good friend, my fellow sister in law enforcement, Jennifer Coffindaffer, Special Agent, retired FBI. Thank you for joining, Jen.
Good to be here, DutyRon. Thank you.
I always appreciate you because the knowledge and the, passion that you put into your tweets and all of your coverage on not just this case, but all of the cases is second to none. And I'm honored to be friends with you. I'm honored to have served side by side with you in law enforcement. And again, I can't thank you enough for taking out your time on a Friday. You know me, I don't let anything hold me down. I get stitches in my wrist and I'm ready. I'm here. I'm ready to go. Jen, what was some of your takeaways? Let's hop right into it. Adventures with Purpose, we both agree they are a great group of men. And I say it all the time, behind all good men, there's women behind the scenes. They're all married, most of them. They got wives at home, and some of them have families, as we heard. Our lead diver, Doug Bishop, who's training Nick, he's got a 16-year-old daughter at home. These are family men. And I tip my cap to each and every one of these volunteers that do this. And I say God's work, and I really mean it. What's your thoughts on these folks, Jen?
Well, I'm a huge AWP fan. I think they do it better than anyone out there. They've trained or helped train at least 20 FBI agents, divers. And so what they do is important. And they do it better than anyone, Ron. And this situation proved it. This lake had been cleared, and they went out there, and with their specialized skills that they actually work on daily, led them to the discovery of this vehicle with their sonar equipment that couldn't be discovered otherwise.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing of it is that some of the people and the sticking points with the general public, and I heard you on Pascal's show call them the sleuths. So our sleuths that are out there, and they're paying just as close attention as the ex-law enforcement are, sometimes even closer, because the ladies and gentlemen who are invested in these cases, they put in hours of research and Google searches, and they look up things that, maybe we might not have time to do in our retired life, because as I know, you have a business as well. And I'm working full time. If I didn't have this on my hand, I'd be at the office right now, but I'm home. So they do a lot of work. So we tip our caps to the internet sleuths, and they're out there sometimes bringing us information. And that brings me to my first part of this video. And Adventures with Purpose, listen, I have Jared's cell phone number. I know I could call him and say, hey, can I play your video? And he'd probably say, yeah, just give me credit. Don't play the whole thing. Play little clips. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to play little clips of it. And I want to start from the beginning. They did an unbelievable job in production, because they memorialized all 23 folks that they brought home before Kiely, and now 24. And I have to say that their production staff did a top-notch job with respect and dignity for the families and the victims. And I don't have that kind of staff behind me, but if I was to put something like this out, I wouldn't put it out any other way. So I have to just say that off the bat. Kudos to them for not only just highlighting what they did, the great God's work that they did on Kiely's case. They talked in the beginning of this, and they showed pictures of each and every one of their recoveries. I thought it was a really heart-warming thing that they did. Class act, as they're saying in the chat. Stacy B says class act. I concur. So let me play some of this audio. Just let me know that you can hear it. This is them interviewing Nick, the roadside. But before I play it, what's your thoughts on this guy? Dispatched buy, and I have roadside assistance. I think we all do, right? My insurance company offers it for free, but you can also get a subscription. Some of the newer cars, they have the OnStar and the Chevrolets, so you could press a button and you can get roadside assistance. In this 2013 CRV, it probably was a paid service. It goes to a dispatch. We know that it's all documented. Do you want to talk just a little bit about this guy, Nick, and your thoughts on it? Because everyone wants to know how you feel.
Yeah, I think Nick is telling the truth through his eyes. I'm not sure he's 100% sure it's Kiely. He's not 100% sure about the day, but I have no doubt that he's not a scammer. I don't think he's just coming forward to be in the limelight. He went straight to police. He gave a statement to detectives before talking to AWP. So I believe he's legitimate. What I don't know is the accuracy from the standpoint of when he actually might have come across her and the gentleman she was with. So that to me is the biggest key point, right? If he helped her on Friday, it's a big difference between if he helped her on Saturday.
Right.
So even though, as you know, the wife of Nick said she knows it was Saturday because that was, I believe, the grandfather's birthday or her father's birthday, it was some relative birthday, right? So I think he's being truthful. I just don't know how important his truth is.
Yeah, and I have to say this. We respect each side of the coin. There is people who believe that he is telling the truth, just like as you said here. And there's also folks that feel that he isn't. And I want to say here publicly is that as long as you respectfully voice your thoughts and your opinions, it's always good to do that, because some of the best think tanks come from other people's perspectives. And it's always good to get challenged on what our thoughts are. And I always welcome it as long as it's done respectfully. Let me say thank you to all of the folks in the chat. But Ramona sends in a $5 super chat, and she says, great work for all the groups that bring families of loved ones home. Blessings to all. Hey, that is 100%. I concur wholeheartedly with that. But, Jen, I wanted to say that because there's a lot of people who watch us ex-law enforcement people and they say, oh, well, it's their way or the highway. It's not like that here. And I know it's not like that with you, because I see your engagement and you see mine. I try to bring both sides of the coin. And as long as it's done respectfully, that's how we can have a constructive conversation of criticism on both sides. There's going to be people that feel that this isn't a straight out accident. She got into a car. She was inebriated. Maybe didn't have her scruples right and drove into that water. And then there's going to be the other side that's going to say, hey, somebody did something nefarious to her. But until that's proven through forensics, through the medical examiner's office, through our forensic laboratory, the tox report, and water in the lungs, as Ed Wallace and I spoke about. He worked in the New York City medical examiner's office with Dr. Barbara Butcher for a long time after the World Trade Center, recovering and doing DNA identification on body parts. Ed said it right away. If she has water in her lungs, she was alive, and while that car entered the water, and there was some type of frantic attempt to get out of the vehicle, hence windows being down, and we'll talk about that later on in the show. Hence her location of where her body was recovered inside that vehicle. So all of this stuff is a science, and we have to stick to that science, because these guys in the lab and girls are just like AWP. They're experts at what they do. Local law enforcement, a lot of times, are not well versed in high-tech crime scene analysis. I always say to my friends, and you'll laugh at this, Jen, is I'd rather be murdered in a major metropolitan than somewhere in the middle of bum, Idaho. I had to use the thing. And no offense to the people in bum F, Idaho. I just don't want to be. I want a complete and a competent investigation done. And sometimes I feel like, not because they're purposely done, they just don't have the resources. Any thoughts on that? And FBI gets called in a lot to help with laboratory stuff. I mean,
yeah, and beyond even the resources, how about just that experience? Do you want a guy operating on your shoulder or your wrist that's done it 5 times, or or the guy that's done it 5,000 times. And that's the whole key to the situation, why they need to bring in all these other resources. It's to bring that experience. It's to bring those other sets of eyes and people who have seen these types of cases before and solved them.
Absolutely. And Tara, this is a great comment here. I'm going to bring myself back on the screen. Yeah. My guy who did my wrist surgery, I did a lot of research on him and I was highly recommended. I wouldn't just go to any Joe Blow to have it done. So Tara, who's a good friend, a YouTube subscriber and a member, she says, my main concern is her friend made a public statement that they spent Friday together making creme brulee. No mention of a broken down car. Listen, we can go into all of these statements. Tara, thank you for that. We can go into all of these statements. It's the job of the investigators to obtain, categorize all of the witness statements. And that's why you talk about this tow truck or whatever you want to call him, the AAA roadside assistance guy, Nick. It's important that he made that statement. And he made that statement before he came on to AWP. Let's take a listen to what he has to say. It's just going to be the audio playing. Just let me know in the chat. Excuse me. Let me know in the chat if you can hear this audio. I'm going to just play the interview. It's with Nick from the AWP, the diver, and Doug Bishop. And they got the kid there. I'm just going to let the audio run because it's really just them questioning him.
A little bit about what you may have run into.
So my name is Nick. I work at an emergency roadside assistance program. I got a call up in Truckee, Boca, for a battery call. So pretty much that means that the vehicle can't start. So I went en route up there, found the vehicle. At the time, I didn't realize that this was a situation until later on. But
let me stop you right there. Yeah. You said you went to Boca.
Yes, sir.
So over near Boca Lake.
Yes, sir.
Not Prosser Lake, Prosser Creek Lake.
It's right by Prosser Creek.
Yeah, so just north. So you went to Boca.
At first, when I went there, I realized after my test that.
Let me know in the chat, and I like to do this kind of polling. How many people in the chat, as we listen to this next minute and 12, how many people in the chat believe Nick? How many people don't? And put the reasoning why.
You know, everything was working great on the vehicle. At that point in time, I did notice that, like, she was very hesitant and very skeptical on everything that was going on. She was asking me really weird questions, like in the sense of, how do you put on your seatbelt correctly? And like, okay, and she asked me to show her on how to connect it to like her actual belt. After that, she was stating on how she was there all night and she couldn't get her vehicle started due to the fact that now we both realized it was in neutral. She was wearing a sweatshirt, so it looked like she has been there for quite a while.
What color was the sweatshirt?
It was a gray sweatshirt.
Gray sweatshirt. Was it dark gray or light gray?
It was light gray. Okay. Yeah. Also, there was a guy there that was with her at time being. He was wearing a black San Francisco flat top ball cap facing forwards, brown hair that's sticking out just a little bit on the sides. It was kind of like they were both kind of at unease is what it looked like for me, like as if either they had a crazy night or a crazy day or there's something going on I couldn't know, and at the time I didn't realize what was going on. But other than that, he was a thinner built guy is the best way I could put it, with a bro tank, and it was white bro tank. He had some freckles on his face, or maybe it was acne or whatnot, but it was on both sides of his face. He was also a little bit shorter than me, so I'm 6'3".
In hindsight, you're realizing all of this. When do you think that this took place? Was it before, during the day, after she disappeared?
To be honest with you, it's either right after she disappeared or right before she disappeared. Okay. But it was around noonish, 11 o'clock in the morning when I got out to her. During that period of time, after the period, I told her that I was going to leave and I hope you have a great day. Vehicle, I told her to keep it running for a couple of hours to obviously make sure everything's working good on the vehicle, charging system wise. At that point in time, then I left, and then a week later is when I saw at a coffee shop that she was gone.
You saw this on a flyer or something?
Yeah, but then everything spiraled out of control and I got in contact with the detective and tried to do everything I could. And yeah, and then I saw you guys.
Now we know we probably have a tie to Boca, which was already on my radar. Do you know who placed the call to your roadside company?
So I can't get details. Calls don't go through me. They go through
dispatch. So you don't have. So when you were digitally dispatched, did you call them to say you were coming or you just showed up?
I did call and nothing went through. It went straight to voicemail. Yeah.
Do you know if she had a phone on her at the time?
She did state that her phone was dead.
Her phone
and
was
so
dead.
she used whatever guy, whoever this was, she used his phone. So that's how she did get in contact.
And what was, you mentioned like she was asking funny questions and acting weird.
Granted, I at the time I didn't realize again that.
Yeah. I mean, I've been in the towing industry my whole life, so you see a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of weird stuff, and it's actually pretty normal. You know. So I can see why at the time it's just.
All right. So that was a packed interview full of a lot of information, Jen. And I want to start with what your first main sticking point is in that interview right there.
Well, the main point is just the fact that this is so new. We had never heard anything about Kiely Rodni having issues with a car, about it possibly happening after we thought she had been discovered in the lake. It's all new. And I know a lot of people think, well, it doesn't make any sense that Nick didn't know about her case, but I can tell you from just the friend group I hang around with that's outside of my law enforcement group, not everyone, and in fact, few people are cyber sleuths and news junkies and know about these names and these people. So it didn't surprise me at all that he first learned about this seeing a flyer, and that's what clicked in his brain that, oh, wow, I saw this. And in fact, Ron, it's so important that social media and mainstream media keep these cases, keep light on them just for clues like this that people come forward with in case this does ferret out to be accurate.
Yeah, 100%. And look, Nerdy Addict chimes in, and we all know Nerdy. He chimes in with, I tried to do everything I could, implies the detectives didn't follow up in his opinion. Now, I'll say this, Nerdy. I mean, I respect and I love all the coverage that you do through your Twitter spaces. And, I know about him through the Gabby Petito situation. So he is actively out there. And again, this goes back to us talking about we respect all people's opinions. Now, I know from doing investigations, if I had this kid as a witness, as a statement, and I don't know if is a criminal investigation at this point right now, to the public, to the general public. And thank you, Nerdy, for that comment. The general public, we don't know anything of what the case file is, what they have inside their case folder. And we won't know that because they're making a determination and putting all the pieces of a puzzle, a big puzzle, together. Okay. And the cause and manner is going to be huge. And I feel strongly if the cause and manner was gunshot wound, broken hyoid, that'd be strangulation, or some type of blunt force trauma, gunshot wound, we should have known about it already at this time, because that's an urgent public safety issue. Okay. So as far as I'm concerned, and I'm going by Northeast law enforcement, it doesn't vary that much when you go from the West Coast to the East Coast. If you have a murderer on the loose and you as a law enforcement agency has knowledge of that and you don't put that out in a timely fashion, Jen, you're going to be shaking your head yes to this. If another person gets killed because you did nothing as a law enforcement agency, that is a huge, huge liability and a black eye. So if
100%.
So if there was something straightforward, clear, and evident, I'm going to tell you right now, we're looking at Cassie Carley going into 5 months. The tox report is going to be everything in this case. And I'm going to have retired chief of staff from the New York City Medical Examiner's Office, Barbara Butcher, come on. And she is going to talk about, under no uncertain terms, how important it is to dot their I's and cross their T's from the forensic side. We're not talking about the missteps at the Truckee and the Prosser Police Department of, taking time or missing her in the water and things of that nature. This is a whole different ballgame. California Highway CHP, accident investigation, second to none. They're like the NYPD. Some of the greatest accident investigators are in that highway investigation. They call it AIS here, Accident Investigation Squad. Jen, what's your second takeaway from this? He talked about his dispatch, talked about a second person, talked about confusion. These are all sticking points, that things that make you go, right? This is now causing a whirlwind of speculation.
It's true, but my biggest takeaway is this is on film. This is on video.
Right.
And the video is in the hands of the company of the tow truck owner. And I would believe, I said on Twitter, I'd bet my firstborn on it, that law enforcement has that video and is reviewing it or has reviewed it already to see who was on that video and when it took place. So the beauty of this situation is we're not even going to have to speculate because we're going to know the facts.
Yeah. And it's all going to be in black and white, documented at the call center. Specifics, you and I spoke about this privately, but we can speak about it publicly because it's no secret. You need to give your VIN number. You need to have a subscribing member to get roadside assistance. They don't just come out for anybody. You know what I mean? You need to have a subscription to this service. So on that service, they have the vehicle, make and model. They have the VIN number. They have the person's name, who the subscriber is, and they need a callback number. Callback number going to this secondary San Francisco Giants cap young man. He's already identified. He's probably already been interviewed and interrogated. And as far as I would say, if it was my case, he would be dragged in and interviewed and interrogated. I'd put him in the box. Yeah. Where were you on the day in question? That's not only an interview, that's an interrogation, because under this new report, thanks to AWP, we would never have known about this. Under this new report, he is the last person, potentially, if this all pans out, to see Kiely Rodni alive.
Exactly.
So it's huge. It's huge. And again, I tip my cap to Adventures with Purpose and all the people behind the scenes, the film crew. They had drones up. They had all kinds of stuff going on here in this video. It's 47 minutes and 11 seconds. I'm going to link it down below in the description. What else did he talk about? How about the seatbelt? And what girl who they talk about, she was an ATV enthusiast. She rode on ATVs. It didn't seem like she would be someone who, if I was a parent, or if it was my kid, that would be one of the first things. I mean, you have to pass your road test. You got to know how to clip a seatbelt in. I found that odd and off-putting that he was saying that she was asking him how to properly affix a seatbelt.
Well, in his full description, for me, when I was breaking it down, he was describing somebody that was maybe a little bit mentally altered. I don't know who it was for sure he was talking to, but either somebody inebriated or, really not talking straight.
Perhaps
that's how I took it.
Perhaps hungover?
Yeah, hungover, just mentally not 100% with it.
Yeah. Hey, and guys and girls in the chat, again, hold your questions, because I am going to do something a little different. And Jen, I didn't even tell you about this. So if you have any objections to it, you could just let me know. I am going to do something different. I'm going to invite 2 or 3 or 4, depending on how it goes, people to call in. And the only stipulation I'm going to have on the call in is to keep it pertaining to this case and keep it pertaining to what we're speaking about. That's the recovery of this vehicle, the recovery of her remains, and Adventures with Purpose. You can call up to compliment them. Lord knows they need as much encouragement and compliments and thanks, because they're going through it. They just recovered a 16-year-old girl and 23 other recoveries. And when you're looking at a 20+ year car in the water with remains, it's not a pretty sight. And we watched Nick, and Nick is in training. They talk about this in this video. I think that's his first recovery of human remains. So he was visibly shaken, shocked, traumatized, PTSD. I'm sure he's going to have on some certain level. I keep putting my hand up because it keeps going numb when I have it straight out. So I have to keep it elevated. Nick, my heart goes out to him, because when he came up out of that water, okay, you're stressed from doing the dive. You're stressed from seeing what you just saw. You're going to be, respiratory is going to be going, but he looked like he was devastated.
Ron, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I've actually heard, again, speculation, that AWP actually made this up In other words, they staged it. They staged him coming up. They staged what he said. And I'm not buying that. I think his reaction was visceral. It was real. His coloring was out. He was breathing heavily. I'm a diver. You don't usually come up breathing that heavy, but he was under stress of what he had seen. And his words spoke for themselves about his concern. And I think it's such a big point, Ron, because this is an experienced dive team. And when they noticed that she was at the back of the vehicle behind the seat,
Right.
that to them, I think, was one of the things that pointed to, in their opinion, possible foul play.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, again, some people in the chat are saying it wasn't his first recovery. They gave the impression that was his training. Yeah, they were training him to do to have a second chapter of this dive, to have another group. Maybe it wasn't his first, but listen, I'm seasoned veteran in the NYPD. I've been on hundreds, literally hundreds of homicide scenes, and none of them were easy to see. When you see somebody with their head blown off, or a gunshot wound, or strangled, or hanging, it's a shock. If you're not human, if you're a cyborg, or if you're a machine, then it won't be a shock. But when you come into a room and there's someone hanging in a closet and you're the first officer on the scene, I don't care how seasoned you are. It's, it just is shocking. So, I'm making a point of his state of mind and his state of affairs at that time coming up out of that water. He was distressed. And we're going to show that here. I think this is important. And I want to show you the side scanning sonar. And they have it labeled, "We found Kiely Rodni murdered or accident." And we heard under no uncertain terms from Doug Bishop and from Nick that they felt that this was suspicious. And that's one of the first or the last words that Nick said when he was inside that water. He said, "It looks suspicious to me." Again, it goes to everybody's opinion. They have no access to a case folder. They don't know what law enforcement has. They don't know anything about the internal workings of this investigation, as we all don't know. So I think that cause and manner is going to give us a great deal of breathing room as to telling us whether this was a tragic accident or, again, a homicide or suspicious. And I want to get this out of the way. We should have did it from the beginning. I've said it on many previous videos. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the Rodni family. We send them strength, prayers, and positive vibes. This is a worst nightmare of any parent. So I want to just say, please send your heartfelt prayers, positive vibes, and good feelings towards the parents. They're going through it. This is such a difficult time for them. And to see this playing out on the internet, and to have, the support from a group like, Adventures with Purpose, EquiSearch, and all of the great groups that we don't even know about that offered their assistance here. We got to say thank you. Nerdy Addict is coming up with another. Hold on a second. I want to just see, because he's in the chat. And thank you for becoming a member, by the way, Nerdy. In a poll of 500 on Twitter, and he's very active on Twitter, 90% believe this is suspicious. I might start a poll here because we got close to 2,000 people watching. I'm gonna set up a poll when we play this next clip, and we'll do that. We'll see how many people feel it's suspicious and how many people feel it is, is an accident. And then again,
Ron, I'm sorry. What were your poll numbers on the veracity of Nick? Did you get those numbers in?
It was overwhelming majority of were for Nick's, that he was being truthful. So Alicia is a numbers gal. Alicia B, a moderator, a great friend, channel member. She said 90% on the Nerdy Addict poll. On Nick, it was close to that. I think we were at 89% on there. So it's a good one. I'm going to play this piece from AWP. This is where they found her on the side, scanning sonar, and then the dive that follows. If you suffer from PTSD and things like this might, maybe shake you a bit, I would encourage you maybe to step out, because this is going to show the dive going down, the condition of the vehicle, and where he made the discovery and saw the human remains. So let's just play this. I'll play the audio, and when we get to
So it's just a big shadow there. You see that?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense though. It's only 10 feet of water. We definitely have something man-made. Big.
It's probably nothing, but it was a big shadow.
It's something.
Isn't that weird? I mean, it's just big.
It's definitely something directly under us right now. What is that, Carson? Is that a boat? Or is that an SUV?
I found this fascinating.
Whatever it is, it has buildup on it. Could be a car. More in the shape of a boat. And I'm seeing similarities that show buildup, which we shouldn't have buildup on this car. It's only been 2 weeks.
This is what really makes them professionals. You hear this detail that they're speaking about, it's got no buildup. It shouldn't be buildup on a car that's been in there 2 weeks. They're talking about a freshwater lake here. All of this expertise, Jen, is what separates these guys from all the rest. And
Absolutely. He talks later on about knowing the difference between new car scan and all those differentiations. It's amazing.
Yeah.
They do it all the time.
Yep. And again, training FBI and law enforcement, that could be something that these guys could do in the future, because there's many more of them than there are of Adventures with Purpose. Law enforcement across the nation needs to have this. Listen, our dive group, the NYPD scuba unit, I'm going to have a retired scuba guy come on here. They do an unbelievable amount of training, but they're the largest police department in the world, right?
Mhm.
They have an unlimited budget. It's in the billions, and they train on a regular basis in New York Harbor, all the waterways. Manhattan is an island surrounded by water. So we have our Marine unit with the FDNY. We have the Marine unit with the NYPD, and we have scuba on both fire and NYPD side. So we are jacked up as far as resources and technology. You go over in a small little spot like this, they gotta go for mutual aid. So I have a video of that, but everybody wants to see this. Let's get to this, and then we'll talk about it. But again, if you suffer from PTSD, they're going to go down now.
It looked like an upside down sunken boat.
Possibly. Could be a boat. It's something though. I believe it's a car. And I have to be quiet because I don't want to alarm the entire campground right now. Giving me some misreadings the way a newer car would. So amazing scan.
This guy took charge.
Let's assess our situation. 18 different agencies. Over 19,000 man hours have been put into this. Not a zero vehicle was found in this reservoir. That is giving me a really weird reading. It looks just like a car. It looks just like an SUV. And it looks like it's giving me some misreadings the way a newer car would. So amazing scan. Great job, man. Great job scanning that.
I love what he's doing here. I love it. This is what a leader does.
We need to do this as quietly as possible. Car, and it's not the car we're looking for. Be here to find the where, which we have done. Now
We have just found Kylie.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to put this full screen.
Confirm. I see the vehicle and the license plate. We have just found Kylie's vehicle. Over.
10-4. Do a full assessment, methodically, slowly. Make sure you focus on footage of the vehicle so that we can accurately relay that to the authorities.
This guy is a true leader. And I keep saying it because I feel strongly about it. I mean, he took charge. He directed Nick, who is training. He's training him. He told him methodically, take your time. And he tells him here to be safe.
And he's so calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah, that's what any leader does. And I look at Chief Louis Adamone, when we had the riots going on down by Wall Street, and Occupy Wall Street was there, and I was right up next to him with a bullhorn, and he was giving me directions on what to say through that bullhorn, and he told me, listen, stick close to me. He said I had about 19 years on the job at that time. He said, hey kid, stick by my side. I was like, okay, boss. And he was telling me what to say over this bullhorn, and we had people throwing bottles of urine, feces, rocks, and we were all in the gear, but he stayed calm. He stayed cool and collective. And that's what Doug did here. And again, Doug and his team, I mean, they did not freak out. They were calm, cool, and collective because of his experience. The vast experience makes Doug Bishop and all of the members of Adventures with Purpose. Jared's the same way. All of these guys, again, doing God's work. So let's highlight them, and let's continue to give them thanks and praise for the great job that they've done and will continue to do.
The vehicle is upside down. I repeat, it is upside down. I'm at the rear of the vehicle now, working my way around towards the driver's side. Over.
10-4. I read you loud and clear.
I'm approaching the driver's side window, trying to get a look inside.
You can see it's clearly not smashed out. It's there and intact. It's the driver's side window.
I cannot positively identify anybody inside yet. I'm looking at the back now.
10-4.
So this is the back passenger side window. In that vehicle, I've confirmed the windows in the back, they don't go all the way down. That is as far as it will go. If those of you are in the chat are familiar with the 2013s, my neighbor across the street has a 2016 Honda CRV. I went over, it's almost identical to the 2013. There's just a couple of upgrades. The headlights are a little different. But I went in the car and I looked at everything and all the setup. And I'm going to show for you after this the interior of a 2013 Honda CRV. We're going to look at everything inside this vehicle. We're going to look at that back hatch compartment and how big it really is and how small it really is, because that also is a sticking point of folks are saying, how did she get into that back? We'll get into that in a minute. Let's let this roll. Jen, I hope you got extra time because we're at 40 minutes. We're at 40 minutes. Are you good? Are you good?
For you, Ron, I do.
You're the best.
Take your time. Be safe.
Be safe. I freaking love that.
A lot of people don't realize how dangerous this really is. You've got your regulator. You have to make sure all your equipment works. You know, your backup regulator, you know, the octopus, they call it. Also, you can get entangled. It's not easy work.
Yeah, and I come to find out that you're a diver. You're a certified diver, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I didn't know that. Is this breathing that we're hearing when he first goes down and he says, "I've confirmed"? Is that labored breathing in that whatever that's called, the dry pack or whatever, the air pack that they use? You can tell I don't know shit about this, but
in my opinion, when I first heard it, and I was actually going to comment, you can hear his breaths speed up. His respirations are now at, more sped up, and that is, understandable. He has just, found this, and he's emotional.
Yeah, you can hear it, you can feel it. Yes, the car is upside down. For the folks in the chat, yes, the car is on its roof, and the wheels are facing up to the sky. So you could see the silt and the bottom of the lake there. Here in 14 or 10, I think Jared clarified it that it's 10 feet of water. They said it's 14. And then you know, in this video, I'm not going to play it in its entirety. In this video, you hear them telling Kiely Rodni's grandfather and dad some different stuff that's a classic example of interview 101. You could, as a detective, interview someone who just saw a crime and they could tell you it not exactly how it happened, because they tell the father that only one of the windows was out, you know, or rolled down, and it wasn't on purpose. It's just that human nature, you perceive and see things, and when you're in shock, or if it's something like this, you're all amped up. So it's just a testament. They weren't giving misinformation to the parents. They didn't want to do that, but it was so stressful and emotional, right, Jen? I mean, we interviewed.
Yeah, misspeech. It was a misspeech. I think they later corrected it, but it was just a misspoken at the time.
Right. And that comes from the being hopped up. You've now just found the vehicle that everyone has been looking for 2 weeks, and the victim inside it. So, and you're talking to the family. That is when I went and made death notifications to families, and I knew none of these people. These were complete strangers. My heart was racing, and it made me really uncomfortable. If you're comfortable with doing something like that, you're a special kind of person. So let's let the rest of this roll. And thank you for everyone being kind in the chat, and welcome to this live stream.
I see a pair of shoes in the back. I'm moving my way towards the back window.
See, he doesn't see her from that
10-4.
passenger side.
I read you loud and clear.
He goes around to the driver's side, and this is where he sees her.
I just confirm there are human remains in the vehicle. Over.
10-4.
And you heard that splashing. That to me was the moment he first saw it, because he's splashing. He's physically realizes it. And that's why we hear those splashes in the background.
Good job.
Over.
This is where I always mess up. I go too far.
And I should say bubbles, breathing, splashing, not like with your hands, but rather the intensity of your breathing and your hand movements.
Right. This is it right here.
I just confirm there are human remains in the vehicle. Over.
Again, calm.
10-4.
He continues now. This is the passenger side now, folks. You see, people are talking about the charger. Listen, what teenager is not going to have a charger for their laptop or their cell phone, and a hairbrush? The laptop might even been in there. They saw a candy bar. Again, this is a sticking point that many people, where this title here says murder or accident, right? Why was that window smashed out? Why were the back windows rolled down? You know, I'm sure there's mosquitoes in that area. Maybe, you know, to get fresh air, we can argue, but this is where the nefarious and where the suspicious activity, as someone being, you know, reasonable, we're trying to be reasonable at this, right? Why would this windows be open? Did she now do that in a panic? Oh, I'm in the water. Let me roll down the back window. Let me smash out this other window, or roll it down. I don't know if for sure we can confirm that it's smashed out, but accident investigation squad, that's going to be their job to find that out. Any thoughts on that, Jen?
Yeah, there is so much information we're going to get, and that accident investigation is critical. And I know my understanding is the FBI is actually handling the interior part of the car and that assessment, and then separately will be the full scale accident investigation. But it's crucial to finding out what happened here. How about on the shoes?
Yeah. Shoes. I mean, okay, so we can argue that, you know, in a campground or in that kind of environment, maybe she kicked her shoes off, maybe in frustration, just to be comfortable. I wouldn't drive a car without shoes on. That seems kind of odd. I don't know. Were they slip-ons? Were they shoes? Were they slippers? Was it, a pair of tongs or whatever you call them? In water, they could have came off. They could have been on her, and when she met her demise, they came off. As we know, we're going to get into that in a few. But people are talking about, hey, how did they flip the car? That's a science. They use, I've seen them use kind of balloon things, and they turn the car over, or they can use, a winch to roll it over and get it up. But they needed to get it upside to get it on up to the ground. And I am going to have a Honda certified mechanic come on and speak about the black box within the 2013 CRV. I've already reached out to him. He's going to come on and tell us in no uncertain terms everything that the data that they can get from the Honda CRV. That's going to help ease a lot of people's minds. I already spoken to him and had a conversation. I know that driver's side window, rear view window was cracked or smashed down. I think that was from the turn. And we know that law enforcement took out the driver's side window to put it either in neutral or turn the wheels when it came up on the ground. I didn't see a video of them doing that, but it's been stated that they did that to get into the vehicle. Now, you could have arguably said, why wouldn't they just reached into the passenger side and unlocked the door? But you got no power. You can't roll the window down, so they had to smash it. There's no power to the car. You know what I mean? They needed to get that window down so they can turn or do whatever they need to do and get in that car. So a lot of this stuff is explainable, but no matter how much you explain it, some people just won't accept it, So what do you think?
Well, Ron, I think another big point that has been flying all over social media is, was the car neutral? Was the car not neutral? AWP makes a statement and says it was a neutral.
There you go. Well, we're going to also find out, just so you know, for those of you in the back room, we're going to find out from this Honda certified master mechanic about the black box and the onboard diagnostic. It's going to tell us things like speed, RPM, gears that vehicle is traveling in. We're going to know it all. Not us, but the investigators are going to know everything about that vehicle and what it did when it met that water. So hearing it from an expert and hearing it from us, we're not experts on that, and we don't like to talk about things that we're not experts on. So let's watch the rest of this, because I want to unpack the interior of a 2013 CRV. Let me know in the chat, in the comments, if you would be interested in seeing a walkthrough of a brand new 2013 CRV. I have it queued up. If you guys want to see it, we'll play it, and then we got to get to the Q&A.
The passenger window is broken out, it appears. Rear driver's side window is halfway down.
Copy that. Rear driver's side window is down.
Line the line and turn top side.
Yep. That's what we do it for, brother. Good job. Good job.
Listen up,
Positive,
folks.
All right.
She's in the back of the vehicle.
Okay.
She's not in the driver's seat. It looks suspicious to me.
Yeah.
Vehicle's upside down. Some of the one window is halfway down. One window is all the way down. Call the authorities.
We help families all across the nation, and when we find out, they are notified first. So we're going to notify them first. My very next call will be the local authorities.
So there you have it. And again, nobody's ever going to be happy with anything. People are going to say, oh, they should have called the authorities first. This is how they do it. But it's one call And then the next call is to authorities. They did it fast. They did it the way they do it, and I find no fault in it. Again,
Ron,
go ahead.
sorry about that. Sorry to interrupt you. Quick reflection on this too. And I know you're a CRV expert, and the black box may answer some of these questions, but the airbags, I do find it interesting, depending on the velocity that the car went in, that there was an airbag deployment. I know an expert can answer why, but I find that interesting.
Yeah,
Did you have a thought on that?
I did think about it, but I'm going to tell you this. And I'm going to go full screen with me because I told the story twice, but I'm going to say it again because I want everybody to hear this. In 2010, my wife and I were involved, and I was in a Chrysler Sebring, brand new car. It was a 2009, and it had front airbags. And we were hit in the back. We were rear-ended at 50 miles an hour. My wife fractured her nose, her cheekbone. She had her seatbelt on because when we got hit in the rear, we went into oncoming traffic, and then we had a front collision with a minivan and a mom with a kid in it. And then my wife's seatbelt loosened up. It was tight for the rear part, and then it loosened up, and she smashed her face against the dashboard. So she fractured her cheekbone and broke her nose. I wanted to sue Chrysler because the airbags did not deploy on a full frontal collision. So there is, I did extensive research on this. There are 2 sensors in the front of the bumpers, one on the driver's side, one on the passenger side. Now it's probably a lot more sensors, but there was only 2 in 2010. And I was so mad that my wife sustained those injuries and no airbag went off. So I hired a lawyer to look into it for me. And there was nothing that they could do. We couldn't sue the manufacturer because they said that it has to hit in such a certain way to have those sensors go off. And I'm going to talk to the Honda certified mechanic about that. That's one of my questions. So I'm glad you brought it up, and I'm glad that we had a chance to conversate about this. But that is a valuable and a legitimate, reasonable question. And that's what makes people go, what's up with this? Any other takeaways from this? I think we played all the parts. Now they notify the family. I think that we're good with that. I see, Jen, again, that you are chiming in on this on your Twitter. I'm going to encourage everyone to follow you on Twitter. That's your primary platform. Some of the super chats coming in. MB says, I was going to send you 20, but I had to buy a loaf of bread. I appreciate the character and the care you show when you cover these cases. Keep being you, DutyRon. MB, I would like to send that $10 back to you and implore you to get 2 loaves of bread. But thank you for your support. Sue Mina became a member, and I thank you for it. Joy Catcher is here. Rotten in Denmark says, you have to be going a certain speed, and the sensors have to be hit as well. Yeah. I had the same type of accident in my Chrysler 300M. Yeah. That pissed me off to no end to see my wife that injured, and failure of not only the restraining system I was freaked out about, I was really upset with the airbag deployment and the lack thereof. And that one had, I think, side airbags too. Hey, ATS News, I want to say thank you for your coverage on this. I saw your video this morning. I was actually going to play a piece from it, but I decided to go this route and just play this here. So ATS, thank you for your coverage. Everyone should go and check out her channel. She does like a great true crime podcast here on YouTube. I'll link it down below in the description. Let's see. So let's play the interior of the Honda CRV. Let's see. Here it is. Play second, play first. All right, here we go. So I'm gonna spare you all the music and all of the stuff that they have on here, but let's put this on, and so they just go through the interior of this vehicle. I'll back it up a little bit because it gives you, this is one of the best shots of it, because here it's showing you 2013 Honda CRV. This is the all-wheel drive EXL interior, so it's got the leather and all that stuff. But the dimensions, Jen, as you know, it doesn't matter if you get the leather or if you get the material, the vinyl seats or whatever that's afforded in the lower models, it's the same square footage. So this is the back area that we're talking about, and this is where she was recovered, or she was seen inside this vehicle.
And to be clear, there's so many logical reasons she could have ended up there, right? The velocity of the water coming in, an air pocket, her trying to possibly escape back there. So there's a lot of logical reasons post-accident this could be explained. But of course, it does give rise to a lot of questions.
Absolutely. So I like that there's this overview shot. I'll link this person's channel, Car. It's a car guy, and all he does is reviews of cars. But I picked this out because it gives us an overhead shot where you can see everything. So that goes from the back to the front. I want to put it full screen, if you don't mind, Jen.
Oh, absolutely.
So everybody could see this clear and concisely. There was first the rumor when she was recovered. Remember, everyone said she was in the back seat. That's that second row seating. But we come to find out that it was not in that back seat. Lilac Peach, thank you for becoming a member. Kara Hightower says, in a CRV and other models, airbags won't deploy if there's no passenger in the seat. We'll find that out for sure when we speak to our expert. Sedona Sykes sends in $50 and says, thank you, DutyRon. You are number one. Makes me think of Sinatra. So look, so they're showing the cargo space, Jen, here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not a small cargo space. It's fairly large.
Right. And early on when this members only was released by AWP, remember everyone saying, how could you get back there? I mean, she's not a big girl. She's a thin, tall, skinny girl. You can easily get back there. I mean, I could see an adult, probably not me, not my size, but back there, but definitely an adult can get back there. And this is a good depiction of the interior of that vehicle. I hope everyone in the chat can see this well and can get a better viewing. Now, we don't necessarily have, again, the leather seating, and this is the exact makeup of the interior of that 2013 CRV. And it comes from a car channel. That's this guy. All he does is review vehicles. But I'll get it to the part where, again, this is the area of interest with the seats folded, with the seats unfolded. So you can get a good, this is a good depiction of what they were working with. And I believe he came around to the driver's side and peeked in from the top part of that back window, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Let's be men and women of our words, Jen. I don't know. Have you ever done one of these where people call in and ask you questions?
Actually, this is my favorite. I love interacting with the audience. They always have such great questions.
I agree. And that's why I like to do it. So yes, it's a hatchback, Running Bear. It is a hatchback. I'll put it back up on the screen. So I am going to put the StreamYard link. You're going to have to enable your camera and your audio and give me a thumbs up to come on. And again, make sure that YouTube is not playing in the background. Make sure you silence all your other devices and YouTube is not playing in the background. If it is, it's going to get an echoing and we're going to just disconnect quick. All right. And keep it to this. Keep it to what we're talking about. And Jen, I have to now give her overtime for this because we're over an hour already. Oh, boy. All right. So here we go. Let me share. Invite a guest. I'm going to copy it and I'm going to link. I'm going to pin it in the chat. Here we go. Let's see if that went through. Yes. And there it is. There's the StreamYard link. Again, enable your camera, shut off your devices, and just enable the audio and the camera, and you'll be good to go. And keep the questions pertaining to the recovery of this vehicle, maybe accolades and thanks and praise to Adventures with Purpose and things of that nature. Wow, we got somebody right away. So this is good. As soon as I get the thumbs up from True Crime with Shannon, she's giving me the thumbs up. All right, here we go. Shannon, thank you for joining. Hi, Shannon.
I don't look very good. I just got out of the shower. So, hello, guys. I'm Ron. You're awesome, and thanks for being on here, Jennifer. I love your Twitter stuff, and you guys are always inspirational for me and my new web sleuthing. But I totally agree with everything. I don't know, my light's hitting it, sorry. I totally agree with, this whole thing of being suspicious. And I agree totally that Nick knew something. And I think I'm glad he came forward. And I really look forward to the autopsy and more information. I don't know how much more we're going to get, but because the family wants to close everything. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think we're going to get something?
Jen, I'll let you take that.
Oh, we're going to get something. We're going to get manner of death. I feel fairly confident in that. We are going to get the manner, meaning, is it an accident? Is it a homicide? Is it a suicide? These are the different manners that an autopsy report will conclude. And I think we'll get that, definitely.
Well, even if the family does want to close it, they have to release something then.
Well, let me say this. I'll answer that quickly because I get this question a lot, and I'm sorry, Jen. Cause and manner, if it is criminal, law enforcement has they have the onus to notify the public. If it's let's just say, we're going to be blunt here, if it's murder, they cannot, because the family says we don't want that put out, they cannot hold that back. If this is an accident, it's an accident report, and that accident report is public information. It doesn't matter if she's a minor. It doesn't matter if it's a vehicle accident, and it'll one of those PARs. It's called police accident report. Will be made. Autopsy results, they can hold that back if it's not criminal. If it's criminal, they owe it, they have to. It's called public disclosure. They got to put it out there. I love the parakeet in the background. I got an African gray.
My parents have an African gray.
Yeah, he's 35 years old. I'm gonna have to will him to my kids. So
what, 25 or 26 now? We had another one that passed away early. So.
Yeah.
But love you guys. I don't want to stay on. Other people probably calling in, but I'm glad you guys are doing this. And Ron, you and off the cuff there, police off the cuff. You guys are some of the best in Ed and stuff. So, and I'm glad to finally be able to say hi to Jennifer. So, thank you guys.
Bye.
Yes,
Bye.
thank you, Shannon, and call in and check in with us anytime. We appreciate everything that you do. All right, there she goes. So that was pretty cool. I like it. Anybody else want to just come on up, because we had two people and they dropped off. So now the grid is clear. Let me see if I can post it again. I don't know if it went away, but there's the link. You want to come on up and ask Jen, myself, another question or two before we end it out. But again, I really feel that it's important that we see the depiction of the interior of this vehicle, and this back space here where I'm rolling my cursor in is the actual location where Kiely Rodni was discovered inside this vehicle. Now, did she get out and float to the back? That's questionable. Did she try to crawl to the back to get out in a panic? We don't know. This would all be speculation, and I try to stick to the facts. And what the facts are, we have really no knowledge at this time, because law enforcement is keeping us quiet, and they're doing it for a reason, because they want to make sure. Kiki, I see you down below, but you got to enable at least audio so I can hear you. So Kiki, I'll let you come on, even though you don't have the camera on. Let's just see what she's got to say. Kiki, you're on live with Jen and DutyRon.
Hi guys, how are you?
Very good.
Doing well. How are you?
I live on an island, and there has been numerous people that have driven their cars, whether, S or not, right? Whether they intentionally did or not. And what I see from Kiely's car is the exact same as we see here. I don't think it was nefarious. I think it was just a young girl who was a new driver and at a party and got confused.
It's reasonable. What's your thoughts on that, Jen?
Oh, my barometer is still on the accident side.
Yeah.
My barometer is there.
I wanted to ask you that. I didn't want to pin you down to that, but now that you said it, thank you for opening the door for me. So you feel strongly, on that spectrum, what would you put, 75-25?
Yeah, probably 75-25. I think some of the new information, particularly for me, the AWP reflections gives me a little bit more pause.
Yeah.
But I still am 75 that it's an accident.
All right.
Yeah,
You know,
so am I, because it happens here numerous times, and like once every 5 years or something.
yeah.
Because when you live on an island, you live around water. Everyone parties at the beach,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
things can happen, right?
Keek, I can't agree with you more because I live right outside of New York City, and Manhattan's an island surrounded by water. You know how many bodies we recover from the waters in Manhattan, and how many vehicles are down there that are not recovered? As a matter of fact, when they did this, I felt that they were going to come across a lot of other vehicles and things of that nature, but they didn't. I think that they found her so quickly, 37 minutes, and they moved on. All right, I got 5 people waiting. Kiki, you got anything else for us?
No, that's it. I just wanted to say this happens all the time in places that have water around. So,
Yeah.
I don't believe the nefarious someone, put her in the car. I think it was just a young girl who had too much to drink and accident.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Kiki.
Thank you, Kiki.
Thank you. All right, Beckfest, you're next up. Do you want to give me the thumbs up when you're ready? She's ready. Hey, Beck, how are
Hey
you?
there, how's it going? Good. I just had a quick well, actually maybe 2 questions. Oh, I'm sorry, that's my son. My question is, if it's ruled an accident, is there anybody, like if the family has like suspicion that it's more than that, or if anybody does, is there anybody else that can come in and say, like, no, we need to push this to criminal and move forward? Or if they rule it an accident, it's an accident?
Jen, you want to take it?
Yeah, sure. So essentially, if law enforcement rules that it's an accident, again, based on autopsy, based on the analysis of the crime scene and all the other evidence that we're not privy to, if they make that decision, that doesn't mean that the family can't hire and this is important, a licensed in California private investigator to do outside investigation regarding this accident, what was ruled an accident. So there's nothing stopping that. And I have seen cases where a private party will find more evidence or information and then bring that forward to law enforcement for them to review. So law enforcement keeps an open mind.
I want to add to that as well. Accident investigation, the California Highway Patrol are actively investigating this, right? They're going to do a reenactment. They're going to do all of their analysis, forensics. They're going to take fingerprints. Ed Wallace and I covered this. Fingerprints don't go away underwater. They're going to look at hair and fibers, all of those items that were down below, the laptop charger, the candy bar. Everything is going to be forensically scrubbed there, right? But as Beckfist just asked us, I hate calling her Beckfist. I wish I knew her first name. But as Beckfist
It's
said,
Brooke.
Brooke, I like that name. It's a very nice name.
Thank you.
Brooke, as Brooke says here, a family has the right to hire. Look, we have Dr. Baden, right? He went on the Epstein thing, right? Jeff Epstein, his family, they hired Baden, right, to go and do their own independent autopsy, right? So you can hire not only just a PI, they can hire a professional accident investigator. They can hire specialists. They can get a second autopsy if they would like. It's well within their right. So that's a great question. I appreciate that.
Perfect.
That's internet sleuths. That's why I love internet sleuths and people like.
And I think it's a good thing for people to hear too, that if it comes out an accident, that a lot of people don't just start freaking out who have been so set on thinking there is foul play, that if there is enough to, maybe try a different route and, hire your own people or whatever, that would potentially happen, that, it'll be done right. And, the results will be what they are,
We keep saying we have to trust the science. And, because there was a failure of the miss of finding her, right? Now it makes us all say, well, what makes them confident enough to be able to go forward and do all the rest of this, right? But it's just like, you know, in the police department, you have bad actors, you have bad cops that are out there doing bad things, and you have good cops. So, you know, they didn't intentionally miss her because they were being bad cops. In this case, it was a matter of technology and a matter of human error. And we don't like to hear that because those are the ones that we trust to protect and serve us. So it pisses us off, right? But it shows the human side. These aren't machines. They aren't cyborgs. And it took Doug and his team to come out there and do what they did. And I'm thankful that we have that in place, you know?
Yes.
So listen, we got 5 other people. I'd love to sit and chat with you all day. And I know you got motherly.
Thank you. They
Hi.
did a great job finding the car and Kiely, and everybody's grateful for that. So thank you guys.
You're welcome. Thank you for
Have a
joining.
good rest of your day. Thanks.
Yes. Say hi to that little guy or girl.
Oh,
Whoever's
sorry.
There. It's all
Sorry,
right.
I will tell him. He's 2, so we're having fun.
Very
Okay,
good.
see ya. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, Miss Scarlett, you're the next up. You give me a thumbs up, young lady, and I'll put you on, Miss Scarlett. She immediately gave the thumbs up. Laura Shortlegs, I love that name. Thank you for the $50 super sticker. And thank you to everybody in the chat here. California Dime. Okay, they're talking. I was just trying to see if there was any... hold on. Here's one from Shadow 511. Any authenticity to the fact that her mom is trying to seal the autopsy report? I don't know. That's just all rumor. I don't listen to Fake Book a lot because Fake Book is fake sometimes. You can go down a lot of rabbit holes. Miss Scarlett, you got to put it back vertical because you're sideways now. Just go vertical, flip it back around. I'll wait for you. You're good. Turn it around. There you go. Don't worry about it. Now she's frozen. All right, here we go. Miss Scarlett, adding to the chat. Hi, how are you? She's been waiting so long. She was messing with her phone. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Oh, we can't hear you. You're going to have to leave and then come back in. As soon as you come back in, I'll put you right to the front of the line. Sorry. She was there for a long time. Okay. We'll go to the next. Leanne Ferguson, as soon as you give me the thumbs up, we'll add you right in. We got it immediately. Hi, Leanne.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good, thank you.
I'm trying to think this through about what the window situation was before she went in. And if I understand it right, because it's hard to flip it up and around and out, if that makes sense. And so the window in the backseat driver's side was halfway down. Is that right?
Rear driver's side window, halfway down. Yes.
Okay. And then the one in the front on the passenger side front was broke, right?
Correct.
And then the driver's window was broken in order to attach to make it go in some kind of neutral or something, or to get it to tow or whatever.
We don't know, Leanne, whether they did that for the neutral or to control the wheel. But there's no power in the vehicle, so maybe they actually needed both sides open to secure it with the roping or some type of secure to pull, in addition to hooking to the back bumper or the tow rope. So I don't know that. I'm not an expert in getting cars out of the water. That would be my next expert, like a tow guy, to tell us how they do that. But that's going real deep. So they did it. Law enforcement took the driver's side window out. We don't know why they took it out. And for what
I was just making sure, because like what I'm trying to envision is what was the car like as it went in. So like before anybody, you know what I mean?
Well, from the video, Lee, and I don't mean to cut you off, from the video, we saw Nick down there and that driver's side window was intact.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought, but it gets really confusing because of the upside down, and I don't know how to explain it. Okay. I think that was the only question. Oh, and I don't think the back window thing was up, was it? The trunk type window thing?
No, it wasn't close. He actually wiped it. See, this is what I love, Jen, about internet detectives. She's an internet detective. She's got a notepad. You want to show your notepad? Lee, you want to show
Well,
that?
yeah, sure. I mean, you can't really see too much. I have a little diagram. Like I'm doing my family tree too at the same time, so it's just like wherever I get a place to write something. But yeah, it's because it's hard to envision it, and I've got to. It looks exactly the same. Yeah.
We're all in this together. We're all in it together. All right, we got 5 other people waiting, so let me get to them. Thank you, Lee. I hope
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're subscribed to both me and Jennifer.
Yes,
and
I am.
Make sure you just engage with us. We love to hear the comments down below. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye. Fancy Grace, what do you say? You give me the thumbs up? She did it. Look at that. Fancy Grace, she's here. Hi, welcome to the show. Jennifer Coffindaffer, retired FBI special agent and DutyRon.
Hi. My thoughts are I'm not sure that, can you not hear me very well?
I can hear you now.
Okay. My gut tells me that it wasn't an accident, but if it was an accident, I still think that there are people who know more than what they're saying. I think Sammy and maybe a couple other kids, I think it's possible somebody was with her. It could have been an accident still, but they're covering it up. Also, part of the reason, if the back seats were down, she could have easily gotten back there and the water would have pushed the seats back up. So that is, so that just that part, doesn't make it go either way. But my biggest question is Nick. I find it very strange that he has so much detail on the man and what he looked like and what he was wearing. He didn't have, he did have what the girl was wearing, based just a sweatshirt, but he didn't have very many details on her at all. So I found that very strange. And the details that he did have on the man were very specific, like almost he could be pointing the finger specifically at someone. But the other thing about it too is that if they obviously used that man's phone to call in, law enforcement is going to know exactly who that is and exactly when that happened and have known about it for a little bit of a while. So they would have already at least questioned, if not arrested somebody, if that was true. And they didn't change the timeline or anything. So I'm not sure that he's lying, but I'm not sure that I'm buying any of that either. I'd like to know if he knows Sammy.
Jen?
Well, you had a lot of questions there, but let me address one. One answer I want to give. This is just in my opinion. I believe Nick's recitation of the details of the man he saw were valid. I think that that's what he observed and what he saw. He was fairly specific, but not overly specific. He knew the height because he compared it to him. The hat was unique, and I have found that a lot of people who follow sports and things, they notice things like the ball cap saying San Francisco. I don't think it's unusual for him to notice a peculiarity in the face. You notice he didn't say eye color, but he said, freckles or pockmarks or something. So I found his description to be truthful and not made up. Ron, what did you think?
I concur. Again, it's the job of law enforcement to vet whether the legitimacy of a statement is true and valid. So it may entail follow-up interviews to get to the truth and get to the bottom, of his statement, or it may not require a follow-up, because if we get the cause and manner back, and it is not a criminal investigation due to all of the science, then his statement really doesn't matter at this point.
And the video, we're going to have a video, or they should already have it.
Yeah, everything. All listen, the call, who made the call, the audio on that call, what it sounded like. She seemed like she was a hungover person that was not clear and coherent and thinking properly, because a simple instructions of how to seatbelt a seatbelt, that's odd and off-putting right there. Nobody should be driving a car if you don't know how to fix a seatbelt. And I don't think that that's the case with her. But anyways, Fancy Grace, any relation to Nancy Grace? Because well, wait, it's Fancy Grancy. I was way off with that one. That goes to show you the medication that I'm on. Thank you for calling in with your questions. There were so many of them there. Some of them we don't have answers to. Some of them we do. But again, reasonable people, probabilities is, we could look at this so many different ways. And that's what's great about folks coming in. Right? I got a whole bunch of people waiting. So thank you, Fancy Grancy. And I messed up your name calling you Fancy Grace. Thank you for being here. Carol, we're going to add you back. I don't know if you made the change and you got it. We only have 2 more people after this, Jen. Hi, Carol. What do you got? All right. Carol doesn't have anything. We're going to the second Carol. Give a thumbs up, Carol. I can see you. You ready? Carol with the hearts. She's ready. Hi, Carol.
Hi. First of all, I want to say thank you to both of you for putting your time into educating us all here. This is probably by far the best group out there.
Love it. Thank you.
Second of all, my heart goes out to Kiely's family. Many prayers to her family and friends. And, we're all just kind of hoping for this to not be what we think it is. My question is did you notice the algae on the vehicle? There was a lot of algae on it. Is that common for that short a period of time in that type of a environment?
I think it's interesting that you comment about this, because AWP commented about that. When they first saw it underwater, they said something like, well, this doesn't quite make sense. There's a lot of, algae or something on top of the vehicle, and that wouldn't be normal for something that had been in there 2 weeks. And they actually discussed that, right, Ron? So I guess we know, because we're watching it with our eyes, that this is something that can happen over a 2-week time frame. We answered that question by the facts.
Yeah.
It could be the environment too. The water could have been warm enough for it to produce that much. I mean, I've seen it happen up here just in no time. And
let me also add to Carol and Jen, if you guys don't mind. They'll have biology people, people that know the water. And within the medical examiner's office, they have this huge Rolodex of different doctors and different people in different studies. And what they'll do is they'll call upon them if need be. Okay, if it's clear cut, cause and manner is not strength, no broken hyoid bone, no visible gunshot wounds, stabbings, blunt force trauma, ligature marks, things of that nature. If they don't see any of that, then pretty much pump the brakes. But if there are things that lead them to trying to figure out how long that car has been in there, then they're going to have the time frame. But they'll call in some type of biological scientist that can tell you, well, this is from the pH balance of the water, and this is what happens when metal enters.
And that may also be a really good question for Ed too, because he does this for a living. So maybe he has some insight on that as well. But that was my question, because I noticed that right off the bat when I watched the video last night. And it was pretty heart-wrenching, needless to say.
Well, Carol, I appreciate your input, and I always appreciate the comments that you leave, and engaging with us after the chat and the live chat is over, and these live streams are so important, because that after engagement continues the conversation, right? So we don't always have all the answers, and if we don't have those answers, then we're going to tell you we don't know.
Right.
We're going to have to wait, and in this case, we have to wait.
Yeah, and we may not ever know the answers. I mean, for that matter, it's totally going to be up to her parents, I imagine, when you think, unless it's an accident, like you said.
Right. They owe the public to notify them if there is a murderer on the loose, right? If somebody, in fact, God forbid, killed Kiely Rodni.
Oh, I see.
They owe the public, protect and serve, right? The community needs to know that, okay, it's not safe to be out there because you have someone who committed a murder.
Right.
So in that case, the family will not control that narrative of information coming out.
Okay.
Due to public safety. We have that onus is on us, public safety. So, yeah, I have to keep muting you because
My dog is chewing on a bone. If you can
oh,
hear
if
it.
it's a dog, then I'll leave it. If it's a dog, I leave it. I love animals.
She's a Great Dane German Shepherd mix, and she's 9 months old, and she's huge.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Great
Well,
having dog.
if you don't have any more questions, I want to get to After All, aka Suman. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you both, and thanks to chat, and hi to all my buddies out there. So
Great to see you. Great to see you.
Have a good day, and God bless all.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, so we're going to add After All, aka Suman, as soon as she gives us a thumbs up. She's giving the thumbs up, I think. She's looking into the camera. No? She can't hear me? Okay, thumbs up. Hi.
Hi, DutyRon. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Awesome. I'm a big fan. I want to say I'm glad to see your arm surgery went well. So excited that you're back to and chugging along with us. I know you're a hero. It's like one of the many scars you have to show for being a fighter. And Jen, I really love your hair. So and it's a pleasure to always see you. We love women in law enforcement.
Do you love my hair?
Yeah. I love the scars on it. I know you got some surgeries there. Thank you so much. I have a couple of questions, and one, DutyRon, you already answered. I was like, what kind of experts will be brought in for this? But you said depending on what they feel is needed, right?
Yes.
So you already answered that. So the other question I had was, I thought the FBI was involved. So I'm not sure, because it's a local jurisdiction, if they were involved, and if they were, why were they involved?
Jen, that's you.
Yeah, so basically the FBI offices, if we are asked from a local jurisdiction for help, we can open up what we call a police cooperation matter. So it's not an official case with, something we're working to prosecute at a federal level. No, it's strictly to provide resources that are requested, individuals, laboratory resources to cases to help them get down the road, because the Bureau has vast and extensive resources, as we all know.
And sorry, part two of the question is, were the divers that were brought in, who were not very successful, unfortunately, the first time around, were they FBI people, or would the FBI have made a difference if they have sent their divers?
I mean, we have an FBI dive team, and they are out of DC, and they were not called into this case. The last case that I know they were called into that was sort of publicized was the Lena Keel case, when there was obviously very specific information, and they searched for quite a long time. I mean, I think it was at least 2 days or more. But in any event, could they have made the difference? I don't know, but I do know that they have extensive training as well, and top dollar equipment.
Right.
Awesome.
So I know a little bit more about the it was a local dive team that they called for mutual aid. So it was a adjoining county that came out, and they spent, I think, 12 to 14 hours out there the Saturday or Sunday before Adventures with Purpose came out there. So they spent extensive amount of time, and as per the captain at the presser, Suman, they said that they use side scanning sonar. They used the same technology that Adventures with Purpose had, but they just weren't as efficient with it. And there is sleuths and folks who are saying, and I mentioned it once in the chat because I like to engage the chat, as you can tell. But while I'm doing the live, I can't go off onto all these other, I try to stick to the topics that we're covering. So sometimes people in the chat get mad when I don't answer them because it's going in a different way. But somebody asked about that, and what I said is that anything's possible, right? Could it be possible that someone put her in there after they searched it? Is it probable? No. Is it possible? Anything's possible. But when you want to think clear and concise and probable, the probability of that is extremely low. So I did entertain it out of respect because I like to hear everyone's side of it. And I don't like to poo-poo somebody if they feel that. I want to talk about it. So I did talk about it on one previous stream because I want to be fair and impartial about this. I want people to have a voice as long as it's done respectfully. If it's not done respectfully, I shut it down. And that's what anybody should do for sticking up for victims and their families. If somebody's out there bashing a family or saying derogatory things about a loved one that's either deceased or missing, then I'm not for you and you're not for me. I've had the terrible task of going to families and telling them that their loved ones either died in a car accident, were shot and killed, were victims of a homicide, or, killed themselves. And when that happens, it's the worst possible thing that anybody can do. It's the hardest notification to make. It's the most sensitive notification to make. And I would hope that nobody ever has to do that. But we are taxed with that as law enforcement professionals. I'm not going to discontinue my respect in my retired life because some jagaloons, and here we go, I have to pull it out. It has to come out on every live stream. If you want to act like a jagaloon, this is not the place. This is not the place. It just doesn't, I don't have room for that. Life is too short, and we need to respect and get behind these families. And that's what we do here. That's what we do. Any other questions?
DutyRon, I just want to say, fund the police, give them more training. We love our cops and our ex-cops. And I want to say my heart goes out to Kiely's family. I have a 17-year-old child, a boy, and he's still doing high school, and she was advanced even. She was ready to go to college, and it's just heartbreaking. So, but anyway, thank you for all the good work you do. And I gave myself a easier to say name after all, so you won't have to struggle with my name, but you're doing pretty good so far. So thanks for the opportunity, and nice seeing you, Jen.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so that concludes our call-in part, and we're an hour and 35 minutes. That last super chat, again, I spoke about that. We spoke about that. So it comes in from Kimberly, and she says, DutyRon, what are your thoughts about Adventures with Purpose making family notifications and not leaving that for law enforcement? I understand why, but I have mixed feelings. Well, here's the thing, Kimberly, and I'll let you, Jen, take that after I'm done with it. Here's the thing. They're working closely with the grandfather and the father on that particular day and probably the day before that, right? They're on ATVs. We see them come up in their video. The father comes up on an ATV and he's like, I don't want to see her like this. And he rides off. He says, I don't want to remember my daughter like this. He rides off. The grandfather stays. I feel that the emotional connection that Doug and Nick had those 2 days, and probably the days leading up to them coming there on the phone and communication. And this is my opinion, okay? You guys don't have to agree with this. But I feel that he felt an obligation to first and foremost notify the family and then immediately thereafter notify law enforcement. And I see nothing wrong with that because they secured the scene. They didn't touch anything. They had a magnet on the target. They backed out of there. They made the call. I think they made 2 calls. And then the next call was right to law enforcement. That car and that body was not going anywhere. So that's my feelings on it. Jen, what's your thought?
No, I mimic your feelings. And then I want to say, I want to add to it just one other item. And that is that as they talked about, there were people all over that lake. That lake is an active recreational lake. They have AWP stamped all over everybody, all over their equipment. Everyone knew they were out there. And I think it was actually incumbent on them to contact the family first in this type of scenario, because they probably were so worried about them finding out the information in another way.
Uh-oh, what happened? You turned.
Oh, my phone went dead.
Uh-oh, Jen just did what she did on Hey JB. So we're going to remove her. Mia Borling, I'm sorry that I missed the super chats. You want to type what you sent in the super chat because they're gone now. If you could type it to me, I'll gladly answer it. Jen just had a wardrobe malfunction with her phone. So please send it in. I'm looking at the chat right now, or if you'd like to call in, And, you know, if you want to talk to me about what the questions you have, you can call, and you don't have to engage your video. You can click this link right there, and you can call the show, and you can ask your super chat questions. I apologize for missing them, and I missed quite a few. But again, I'm going to use my hand and my weakened condition on missing some of the super chats. And I'm also going to say I like to stay on topic. And if I'm in the middle of a conversation, it's hard for me to break that conversation and go off. They were pretty complicated. So call in and use the audio only. Call into the show and ask them, Mia. I would like to hear them. Nerdy Addict is buzzing in. Once law enforcement clears that scene, there's nothing to stop someone else from diving or searching, right? That was a public reservoir and lake. They should be grateful Adventures with Purpose and not anyone else did. Yeah, I listen, here in the city in New York, we have crime scenes and we rope it off and hold it off for hours, sometimes days. And over there, I think that they got what they were looking for, the car and her vehicle, the car and her body. And they also may have had her phone recovered in that vehicle. We don't know about that, because now I know that people are going to say, what about searching for the phone? Maybe someone threw her phone in that lake or threw the phones in the other lakes. Yeah, you'd want to find that phone. Nerdy Addict is calling in. I'm going to put him on. Okay, I guess he's just going to do audio only. Hey, Nerd, what's going on?
Hey, DutyRon. I guess the question is, so recently there's been a sort of amateur diver in Connecticut diving, looking for Jennifer Dulos sort of clues. My question is, once law enforcement cleared that reservoir is free to be searched by any citizen, right? There's nothing preventing anyone from going aside from AWP to search that reservoir.
Right. Good question. Yeah, unless it's a crime scene and it's taped off. You see that in, shootings, you see that in boating accidents. Once they clear and then law enforcement pulls out, it's fair game for anybody to go in there. And I think I know who you're referring to, because I think he was like one of those spirit box guys, Sean. Oh shit, name is. It'll come to me. I'm old. Sean.
Yeah, he does paranormal. He's actually a friend through a friend. And I'm not, I guess the point is that we should be grateful AWP founder, because there are amateurs out there that may have followed suit and may have contaminated that scene. So
No. Wholeheartedly, the Adventures with Purpose, they are an unbelievable organization. They specialize in the vehicles, as we all know. So if you call them to come and search for somebody on the ground, they're not going to be able to offer anything, obviously. And even if you want them to search a body of water and it doesn't involve a vehicle, I think that they kind of pass on that, because their expertise is those two items, vehicles and recoveries. So 23, now 24, first not cold case that they worked. So it's a little different waters, and they admit to it. It was a little different dynamic, if you will, Nerdy. But listen, the conversations, I've been listening in on some of your Twitter spaces in the recent, because I've been bungled up with this little snafu I got going on here. I had to learn to use my left hand, if you know what I mean. So it's kind of a little challenging for me. So I have some time on my hands to sit and listen to some of the Twitter spaces. And I know Nicole Schmitz in there with you guys, and I love and respect that family tremendously. I've done whatever I could do for them and support. And I love the conversations that you have, because again, like I talked about here, it gives everybody a voice. And we always love to hear respectfully both sides of the coin and how people feel about what's going on in investigations in these cases. And the Photos Dulos, Jennifer, that case is, we still don't have resolved there. Nobody knows exactly what happened to her. We know we got a lot of blood and bags, and we know he killed himself in the inside his garage. But we'd like to be able to have something, and find her remains. Now there'll be skeletal remains, and it's not going to be anything that's, it's not going to be a body recovered. It's going to be skeletal remains. So anthropologist, a forensic odontologist, taking the DNA from tooth pulp, and that's how that will go. And we all know that all too well. Any other questions from you, my brother?
I don't know. I appreciate what you're doing. I feel for you with that left hand issue. The Dulos case is just a reminder here for folks, where this case could have gone. Still looking for answers 3 years later. Had it not been for that higher power work from AWP. So shout out to them. Shout out to you, Matt. Thank you for what you're doing, and have a peaceful weekend.
Thank you, brother. Same to you. There he goes, Nerdy Addict. Guys, go follow him on Twitter. Great guy. Mia, there you are. Let's do it. And then we'll close this live stream out.
Hello?
Hi, Mia.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Hey, let me just say quickly, I'm sorry about missing the super chats. Just please understand, I'm an old guy, so I sometimes miss those things, and I'm trying to.
I didn't know they disappeared. I thought you could go back and.
I can't go back. It's only a certain amount of time, and if they disappear off the top of the screen, I can't.
Okay. Well, one of them was complicated because I had to go back and. Well, there's this. It's regarding the car being in neutral, and I wanted to make a correction that because that's the kind of detail that explodes the internet and causes all kinds of conspiracy theories. AWP said, Jared said when he was on Zav Girl's channel that Nick could not identify what gear the car was in when it was underwater. And then they assumed as it was coming out that it was in neutral because the wheels were free spinning, which doesn't mean that the car was in neutral when it was at the bottom of the lake. Then I saw another YouTube video of a retired AFC, and see, this is where it got complicated, and I just had to go back and type what he said. But he was an engineer.
I pulled up this last super chat, but let me answer one of these questions at a time before you go on the wall. So the gear thing, I'm going to have a Honda certified mechanic, master mechanic. He's going to come on, and we're going to talk about that, because everybody that is speaking about it, it's all conjecture, it's all guesswork, and it causes more this thing. So here, I don't get into that. I won't give you my opinion on it because I don't know it. I'm not a mechanic.
Well, someone there said, it's in neutral because we saw it coming out of the water, and that's incorrect. But the thing is, this mechanic.
I'm going to ask him if the wheels are spinning when the car comes out of water. Is it
Hello?
possible? Yeah, I'm here.
You kind of froze.
It's going to be on your end.
It says that he said that the see, this is where it was. I copied it from him. The torque, whatever, the centric, whatever, allows that model and make and model for the wheels to spin freely when the car is in any gear and the engine is off.
Right.
So that was one of my super chats.
Yeah, it could be that limited slip differential. There's a whole bunch of stuff, but we're going to get no uncertain terms from an expert about everything about that car and the mechanics, the black box, and all of that stuff. So I'm going to save it for another show. Now, this date rape drug thing, we're going to be looking at that if they go the route of a tox. And that's the only way that you'll know what happened to her.
That's what I heard people suggest was that, they had been roofied before, and the person said the next morning they couldn't figure out how to order Jack in the Box. And then the last thing was someone asked about tire tracks. And I heard also Jared from AWP said the ground was too hard for there to be tire tracks. And that was it.
Accident investigation from the California Highway Patrol are experts. They are second to none. They're actually second to the NYPD's accident investigation squad. And I'm going to have an NYPD retired accident investigation squad detective who does accident recreations and draws conclusions on fatalities when it comes to accidents in water, outside of water. And we're going to do that. We're going to do that. And that's what I do here. We try to, if I can't give you the answers, I'm not just going to spew out a bunch of BS to you, because people do that all day long. I will do that. So I'm going to get you the professionals. We're going to have a medical examiner from the New York City Medical Examiner's Office come on, and all these questions will get answered. Queen Feline Media says, thank you, Ron, for letting people be open with their thoughts and opinions. Prayers to Kiely's family, and may she rest in peace. Thank you, sir, for your service to the community as well. Yeah, I'm wearing my 9/11 memorial hat because it is September and September 11th is shortly approaching. So I want everyone to please remember all who we lost, not just the police and fire, every innocent soul that we lost on September 11th. And again, you know, we can never forget. So I switched over to this hat. I got to check in with Jennifer Coffindaffer and make sure that she's okay. So I'm going to give her a call in a little bit. If anybody has any more questions or anybody has something that they want to talk about, I'll leave the phone line open just for another few minutes. There's the stream link. If you want to call in, let me know. Let me say hello to a couple people. Luminol question: should the tow truck driver be put in neutral or law enforcement take out the car? That's what I said earlier. I said maybe the tow truck driver put the car in neutral to pull it out. The answers to these questions, we don't know. And we'll do it, and we'll get it as they release this stuff to her. True Crime with Shannon says, thank you, DutyRon. Teresa says, never forget. Chef Lady says, we can never forget. Yep, I was in Virginia. Couldn't believe 9/11 was happening. Never forget. Yeah, amen. Thank you. Carol Loving in Alaska, great to see you. Mitchell is in the box with let me know when you're good. Okay, you're not going to do the camera. All right, here we go. Mitchell, there you are. What's going on?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Cool. I just had one question regarding the release of you know, how the cause and manner.
Okay.
Do you believe, because I know that police have done this in other crime scenes, that they are hesitant to release any information that they might have if there is foul play involved because it might spook the killer? Do you believe that that could be a possibility?
Yes and no. Again, public safety is paramount. And if they are at that point where it is deemed a homicide, the amount of evidence that they'll have inside that vehicle and off of her remains, through DNA and things of that nature, through statements and through this interaction with this tow operator, I feel that they would release it and they wouldn't hold it back, not wanting to spook. They want to tighten a noose around a potential perpetrator. So I would lean more to that they would put it out and then start their manhunt and hopefully get more calls to come in from people that are outraged that now this thing is a homicide case. So it's a yes and no answer there. But I would think more so that they would still release it and not hold it back because they were worried about spooking the perpetrator.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, well, that's all I had. I appreciate the shows. I've been watching since the shoot.
We've covered so many.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I appreciate your support. I appreciate the question and thank you for calling in.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good weekend.
Take care, brother. All right. On the screen is Diana. That's Naomi's mom. She says, I was teaching in high school in Texas. I'll never forget. Diana, my heart, my prayers go out to you and the entire family. Casey, your daughters, you're over there in South Africa, and we're going to be following this your daughter's case so closely. And Troy Driver, he needs to be behind bars, and if they have it, put down. He needs to be behind bars for the rest of her life. Sick, vicious, evil monster. So thank you for being here, and my respects and thoughts are always with you and your family. We'll never forget Naomi, and we're going to see this thing through, that justice is served for her and all victims of domestic violence and violent crimes. She was just 18 years old, going to work, and didn't deserve what happened to her. So I send you strength, prayers, and positive vibes always. And if there's anything that I can do, or Ed Wallace, my partner, can do for your family in regards to answering questions privately about the investigative process and the judicial system, I'm always going to be there for you. I'm just a phone call away. So thank you, Diana, for being here and watching and supporting and being in the community that's good, that cares, that's here for you. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Just, again, reach out anytime you need anything from me. I'm always here. I'll open my platform up to you at any time. All right. Bree is in the chat. Bree, thank you so much for calling in, and we're going to end it with this last call. Bree, thank you for coming on Crime Time with DutyRon.
Thank you so much for having me. So I just want to clear a couple things up for people who aren't in California and that are questioning the algae situation on the car.
Oh, good.
We currently in San Francisco right now, we have fish, hundreds of fish showing up dead because of algae bloom, because of the heat, because of the low water. The rivers and the streams here they're littered with algae. So that's how that one got there so quick. That's what everybody's assuming. Also, as everybody could tell,
What kind of experience do you have in biology or water stuff? Anything?
I'm an avid outdoorsman. We're in and out of the water all the time. We talk to Forest Service. They tell us which bodies of water we should not go into due to algae blooms. And that was one of the big things when this first started. Our waters are at the lowest they have been in years.
And we heard them say that to Nick. I believe it was Nick. He was communicating with somebody on the. Did you see the video from Adventures with Purpose? It's made public.
Yes, I actually watched it this morning.
So Nick said to a couple of people on the side when he was trolling by in his boat, he said, "Is this water usually level this low?" And they said it's the lowest it's been.
Yeah, it's a whole crisis. People are actually having to pull their boats out of docked areas that they wouldn't normally have to. But like I said, the fish are coming up dead because of the algae. So the algae is going to grow quicker there. We're in Sacramento. Our temperature is going to be 112 come Monday.
Wow.
It is very hot. We're only 45 to an hour from Truckee. Truckee gets just as warm as we do. So with that being said, there's that. My biggest question was, I know many campgrounds in National Forest in California, they do have a camp host. And I was wondering, because I've never been to this particular one, we like to camp outside of campgrounds in National Forest. Did this one have a host? And if so, how would a host or other campers allow 300 plus children there, young adults, I'll say that. How could 300 young adults be there without even anybody raising an eye during active fire season?
Yeah, Bree, in previous live streams, and I'll link them up below, up above and below here. I have a whole playlist on this case. I mentioned it several times. Like, this seems like this summer ending get together or party is not its first go around. It seems like this has been happening for some time there. It's like an annual event. And if so, why the National Park Service? Why local PD and the additional resources from surrounding communities? Why is that not a post concern and a special detail? This weekend, we have the West Indian Day Parade here in Brooklyn. It goes through a major section of Brooklyn, New York, and it's the West Indian Day Parade. There's so many people that get shot and stabbed and all kinds of bad activities that happen surrounding this parade. We in the NYPD send 5,000 police officers on this parade every year because we know it's happening. We know that a bunch of people are going to converge and drink and smoke and do this and do that, and gunshots, stabbings, sexual assaults. So it's what we call a post condition. The local authorities, whoever is responsible for patrolling in and around that area, they should have had posts there. They should have police personnel. And that's another conversation to have. But I brought it up because that was on my mind. Not only as a parent, but as a retired law enforcement.
And like I said, to me, it's very hard to wrap my head around because the Governor Gavin Newsom will close the forest in an instant. Right. All national forests have been closed the last few years. Yeah. We have forests right now closed actively because of fires. So there's another thing. And then you have all these kids, they're posting all these social medias. I've only seen one picture of this party. I don't know if anybody else has seen any other pictures.
Yeah. That's a sticking point that, when you think about 16, 19-year-olds, young adults, the phone is an extension of their hand, and usually selfies and Snapchats and where are all of these videos? They have to be out there, but we're not seeing them publicly. Maybe there's a reason for it. And when they put up that there was that dedicated line where you could upload videos to, I forgot the platform they used for it, but they said that they were getting stuff in and they wanted to get more, the police. So I would be curious to see once this is finalized, once we have, a cause and manner, was it an accident? Was it a criminal thing? Once this is cleared up, I would love to see some of that footage and some of those videos. And I think that after it's cleared, it will come out. If we have a trial, there's somebody arrested in regards to this, and it is an active criminal case, it'll be showed at trial. That'll be stuff that will come out. It will take a long time for that stuff to come out. But I find it hard to believe that not one of these posts were out there. I mean, now everyone can dirty delete. But there's those internet savvy people who screen grab and record. Not one person's got that. Things that make you go,
Yeah, and I could tell you those from my personal experience in Tahoe National Forest, which we do frequent, that Forest Service, the Rangers, CHP, they're up there heavily, even before this happened. So for me to even understand what happened up there that night doesn't make any kind of sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah.
They will run you out of that forest if they don't like you. That is the thing. And with Truckee, it's such a small town, a small community, that if there are people from as far as San Francisco going up there, you would know that. You would be able to see that.
Right.
We haven't seen any proof that even happened.
Unbelievable.
And as for being in California, as somebody else posted in the comments, our news stations have pretty much wiped their stuff clean of Kiely Rodni at this point.
That's insane.
You would think that people would be pushing. They're not. They're really not. And it's very sad because it's like, whether it was foul play or an accident, we all have our opinions on that. Right. If we go in the forest, we need to know if there is something actually going on crooked up there that we need to keep an eye on.
Bree, I appreciate you coming on as a local and talking about this, because a lot of people don't get this perspective. So I appreciate that. And I encourage people who are local that have additional information, not necessarily about the investigation, but about the surrounding area, how the police do their stuff. I would love to hear about that, because I'm kind of blindfolded in regards to that. I know what I did and my department did and how thorough we were with investigations. But I always said, and I said to Jen in the beginning of the show, I wouldn't want anything nefarious to happen to me or my loved ones or my family outside of major metropolitan, for the sheer factor of what I've been seeing. And I've covered so many cases. I can go to Suzanne Morphew, where those deputies took her bicycle that was either planted there or thrown down a hill and hand walked it up. Ed Wallace and I covered that whole thing there in the Chaffee County Sheriff's. It was just a laughable joke. And going into that house and collecting evidence, the things that I've been seeing is just baffling, and it makes me really, really concerned. But listen, my arm is starting to throb, so it's time for me to wrap this up. It's time for me to
just one more thing. The spot that they found the car, that is hard compact ground. I can take my car going 20 miles an hour. If I put it in neutral, even when it descends, I guarantee that car is going to slow down to 10 or 5 miles an hour.
So
somebody's seen something. Somebody's seen that car going in. I guarantee it.
Right. So I have a video, but I didn't get a chance to play it. It looks like it's a real steep incline going down to the water right. So you're saying that if you took that vehicle and say rode it to that part and then put it in neutral and ghost, or even kept it in drive and ghost rode it down there, it would slow down? Is that what you're saying?
With the dirt, the gravel, the rocks in that particular spot, because I think 10 years ago, that was underwater. Mm-hmm. That's just now compacted dirt. That is going to slow you down tremendously.
Interesting. Hey, I'd like to continue this conversation with you. Would you mind messaging me on dutyron.com with your, maybe a way for me to contact you, or email or whatever?
I can most definitely do that.
All right, Bree. Let's continue this conversation. I'm 2 hours into this thing, and I never do a 2-hour live stream. So shame on me, but there's a lot to cover and a lot to unpack here. So
Yes, go rest up, and thank you. I can't see the chat, so I don't know what's being said, so I'm gonna have to go back and watch the replay anyways, but I will definitely reach out to you, Ron. Thank
Bree,
you.
I look forward to it, Bree, and thanks for calling in.
You're welcome.
Take care. All right, there she goes, Bree. All right, guys, I want to say thank you for hanging in here for 2 hours and 3 minutes. I got to get out of here. Now I got to go take a nap. This old man's got to rest. I appreciate each and every one of you, and thank you for your opinions. Leave me a thumbs up down below in this video. Let me do what I said I was going to do. Who wants 10 free memberships? Let me gift out 10 memberships to you guys because you've been so kind and patient. So if you want a free membership, put a thumbs up in the chat or just say me. I would like a free membership. I'm going to give out 10 of them here today. Let's do that. I like to be kind and give back. You guys have been so good with super chats and all this kind of stuff. So let's see if I can do that here. Oh, why can't I gift a membership? Oh, channel dashboard. That's why. All right, hold on. Let's do it. You make sure you're subscribed. Obviously, everyone is subscribed. Make sure you hit the thumbs up on the video. And definitely leave me a comment down below in the comments section after the video is over. All right, here we go. You know me, I'm technologically challenged. Let's do this. All right, here we go. A lot of people would like the free memberships, and I want to give them out. I'm waiting for my computer to load. There we go. All right. 10 memberships coming right up, courtesy of moi, DutyRon. Let's do 20. I'll do 20. It's only $100. I'm going to gift out 20 memberships. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you're here, you have to be subscribed because this is a subscriber only. So everybody in the pool, 1,500 people or so, good luck to each and every one of you. Here you go. Making sure my credit card goes through. Pretty sure it will. There it is. 20 memberships. I just gifted. Woohoo! I always like to see who gets them. All right. Here we go. Good luck to everybody. Good luck to the potentials. I'm looking. I'm a-looking. Thank you, Carol. Thank you. Why don't I see the who got the memberships? I hate that that's on a delay. You're welcome, Diane. My pleasure. My pleasure. Popeye's starting to talk now. The bird has said he's got enough. He said, DutyRon, you did too much time. The suspense is killing me. Oh my God. I can't end this live stream and not see the 20 gifted memberships. Did anybody see them yet? Why am I not seeing it? Could I have missed them? Oh, well. I know that 20 people are going to get gifted memberships. I don't see them. I don't see nothing. Is YouTube ripping me off? YouTube makes us wait. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. We're not on TikTok. We're on YouTube. Come on. Sometimes it's worth the wait. Oh, my freaking wrist is throbbing. Yeah, this is a 2-hour live stream. This is a unique. You did see some? All right. So if they went it through, welcome to all the new members. And listen, do me a favor. If you got gifted 20, one of the 20 who was gifted a membership, let me know down below in the description if you got the membership, because I got to end it now. I can't stay any longer. I want to say thank you to Adventures with Purpose for recovering Kiely Rodni and her vehicle. I want to say thank you to the community and the support that everyone is giving Adventures with Purpose going forward. I will link their description down below, their channel, their website, link to the video. Go over and support them, become a member, send them super chats, send them support, because they're doing God's work. And again, all of the groups that go out and search for the missing, get around them, support them, and listen to legit bona fide information on the internet. If the people are just talking about conjecture and you know, conspiracy theories, that get you nowhere. Make sure you vet the information that you're listening to. Make sure you check before you spread false information, and always do your due diligence. Remember, most of those ladies that called in, right, had one of these pads. And any good detective is going to have a notepad, right? And they're going to write down notes. In addition to that, I have sticky notes here, hanging on my monitors over here. I'm going to be getting a second camera angle. It's going to shoot from behind me straight forward to my 3 screens that I have here. And I'm going to be able to switch to the camera behind me, and it's going to shoot forward, and you guys are going to see the whole setup here. Now, you may see the back of my head, but it's going to be pretty cool. So, and I may get a third camera angle from the side so we can get a Popeye cam going and things of that nature. So we're going to do that. So let's send prayers, strength, and positive vibes to the Rodni family and Neiman family. Lindsay, the dad, they all need us now more than ever. Her grandfather, and everybody from Adventures with Purpose who's affected by these recoveries that they make. They need us. They need our support. They need our prayers. They need our encouragement. Let's send them all we got. Let's give them all we got. I want to say thank you. God bless the world. God bless the United States of America. And God bless each and every one of us here in the chat, but especially all victims of crime and their families. And thank you to the moderators, the replay viewers, the subscribers, the channel members, the Patreon supporters. You guys are what makes this a great place. Keep on being you. Keep on shining bright. And let's do it for the victims and their families. Good night from New York City, and God bless.